let's get to this other segment, which, elites and people who actually face trouble. I was thinking a lot about our show yesterday about how so many people in power escape any accountability, while the people who may say something or, at the lowest levels, they're always the ones that face it. And this is the perfect example, which is, you guys might remember Lieutenant Colonel Stu Scheller. He had that viral video which he criticized both Joe Biden, but really all the military brass for their failures on Afghanistan. Well, let's put this up there on the screen from military.com. Lieutenant Colonel Schiller is now in jail, awaiting charges for Article 32 preliminary hearing. Now, here's the thing. According to the own spokesperson of the U.S. Marine Corps, quote, "The time, date, and location of the proceedings have not been determined," meaning he is now in jail for an indeterminate amount of time. They even said, quote, "There are no specific charges or initiated against the colonel. Instead, the hearing is to consider whether charges of contempt towards officers and all of that should be recommended to his commander for action." So he is awaiting a preliminary hearing in order to determine whether charges should even be brought against him. And in that time, he is being held in confinement for an indeterminate period of time, which is completely ridiculous. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, here's a snippet from the video itself of him calling out his superior officers. Let's take a listen.
I want to say this very strongly. I have been fighting for 17 years. I am willing to throw it all away to say to my senior leaders, I demand accountability. But the reason people are so upset on social media right now is not because the Marine on the battlefield let someone down. That service member has always rose to the occasion and done extraordinary things. People are upset because their senior leaders let them down, and none of them are raising their hands and accepting accountability or saying, we messed this up. What I'll say is, from my position, potentially all those people did die in vain if we don't have senior leaders that own up and raise their hand and say, we did not do this well in the end. Without that, we just keep repeating the same mistakes.
Here's the thing too, Krystal, Lieutenant Colonel Scheller, I do want to be transparent. He posted a video from an abandoned bus in a second video. It was bizarre, to say the least. That being said, the Marine Corps says they're confining him for his own safety, saying basically like, oh, his mental well-being or whatever is in check and we have to do all of that. And look, whatever you think of the guy or not, it isn't really about him. He is being held in jail for an indeterminate period of time for calling out his superior officers. Yeah. And just so people know for what he was calling for, General Miley yesterday in a classified hearing told congressmen that, quote, the military was not to blame. And he blamed the State Department for the botched evacuation in Afghanistan. Zero accountability for his lies, for the withdrawal, and more. So maybe the lieutenant colonel, even if he's a little crazy, maybe the crazy guy is way more correct about this entire situation than the general in chief.
Well, and it's also a matter of two sets of rules.
Yeah.
Again and again, we see the same thing play out. This man, parts of what he said, I probably agree with. Parts of what he said, I probably don't agree with. That's not really the point. But he's being punished while the people who lied to the American people over decades and who are set to go and get richer than ever if they're not already cashing in, there's nothing happens to them.
No, exactly.
Nothing happens to them. Even with the very specific example that we've tracked here very closely of that drone strike that murdered an entire Afghan family and their little babies, and the dad who was an aid worker working for an American nonprofit, is there going to be any is anybody going to be in the brig for that one? No. They've already said, absolutely not. No accountability. No one's going to be punished. We're just going to move on. Oops, at least we admitted our mistakes. Aren't you happy? Aren't you proud of us? That's been the story of the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq. It's been the story of America, frankly. I mean, this is what we keep on tracking. The people who commit the crimes, the elites who commit the crimes, they never face justice. In fact, they become richer and more famous and more esteemed than ever. You can see them on prime time on any one of the cable news networks. And the people who are the whistleblowers who dare to speak out and say, hey, you know, how about some accountability here? They're the ones that get the book thrown at them. And if you don't believe me, hey, why don't you, we're going to talk to Stephen Donziger about what that looks like. Look at what's being done to Julian Assange. Look at what's been done to Edward Snowden. Look at what they tried to do to Glenn Greenwald. Every single time you have someone who dares to say, how about accountability? They will build the jail on top of you for daring to say those words.
No, they
and
really
so,
will.
look, I do want to throw in, maybe there's something going on here we don't know about.
Right.
The second video was a little bit less coherent, I would say, than the first video. Clearly, this man has been through a lot, just like so many of our servicemen and women have been put through the ringer with, these elites in the military pretending like this is all costless and that there's no burden placed on our men and women. But to me, this goes to the core of this failure of any kind of accountability for elites. And that is a deep problem in the society. And you talk about eroding our democracy, eroding the fabric of the nation. Like, how can you believe in a place where there's no accountability at the top, where there's never any instance of justice for the people who are running this place?
And to that point, I mean, we have General Miley asked specifically about that drone strike under oath. And do you think he takes responsibility? Go ahead and take a listen.
And General Milley, on September 1st, 3 days later, you described it as a righteous strike. People that were not supposed to be killed were killed, and you described it as a righteous strike.
Yeah, if you go back and look at the full quote, what I said was we followed the procedures. I had every reason to believe that that we followed our procedures at that point in time. We knew that there were civilians killed. We knew there were non-combatants and there was collateral damage.
Yes, you said were others killed? Yes.
Yes.
Who were they? We don't know. We're trying to sort
That's
through all
exactly
that.
right.
But
That's
it's a
exactly what I
righteous
said,
strike.
and that's right. And
So
because I believed,
kill people we shouldn't have, but it was a righteous strike.
I believe that the target that we were aiming
And
at,
sir, and I
believe the
apologize.
target
Thank
we were
you.
aiming at was
Okay,
there.
I have three more.
Is he a general or a lawyer? What is he?
Yeah.
You know? Oh, well, what I actually said. No, you said it was a righteous strike. You said it was righteous. Okay. So did you lie or do you not know? Would you have an apology? Oh, you're not going to get fired. Of course not, right?
No, let alone be thrown in the brig.
You had no role, in that. Are you going to go and do an investigation into how this happened? Oh, no, that's not going to happen at all. We already know that because the person who works for him, General McKenzie, U.S. Central Command, has already come out and said, yeah, it was a mistake, didn't work, but nobody's going to face any consequences. Lieutenant Colonel Schiller, yeah, he's in jail. Oh, are there any charges against him? No. Did he mistakenly kill anybody in a drone strike? No. Did he lie to the American people about Afghanistan for 20 years? No. He's in jail for an indeterminate period of time.
Yeah.
This is the problem here. I mean, we covered the extensive amount of lies that these guys told in their testimony before the Senate. And I was repulsed by it for two reasons. Number one, that they just feel so comfortable lying under oath repeatedly. And two, is the media just laps it up. They're like, oh, General McKenzie says this. President Biden, what's your response? Once again, who do we elect here? Do we elect the general or do we elect the president? And that's the issue. These guys have so much power. They know exactly how to wire the media. The media and many partisan actors are also willing to jump on whomever says what and use it for whatever is convenient in the moment. I mean, these people are some of the most conniving and ruthless in all of Washington. And as you pointed out yesterday, they're not good at fighting wars. They're not good at what they're supposed to do, but playing the game here, making themselves rich, making themselves make sure that they escape zero accountability. Oh, they're real good at that.
Yeah.
They're master fighters, warriors on that front. Yeah.
Finding that those sources of political power, being able to cash in after the fact, they're very, very good at that.
Yeah,
but I think anyone who looks at this and thinks about a system where on the one hand, you have an Afghan family murdered and no accountability. And on the other hand, you have a Marine officer who spoke out. I'm sure he knew that there would be likely consequences for that. And he's in jail with no charges for an indeterminate amount of time. Somebody tell me that's fair.
Yeah.
Somebody explain to me how that's fair.
There you go.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.